But yeah, I think I have met some INTJ stereotypes. Have you ever met any ENTJ
ENFP?
ENFP
Uh,
stereotypes? Protocol. Hey, what's up, dude?
ENFP?
ENFP stereotypes.
I don't know. Just one?
Me?
No.
Other who?
Classmates?
Okay.
But usually talking about MBTI type is not that or was not that common here. So we never talk about MBTI before. So that's the reason I know only one ENFP girl. But actually there are more ENFP girl in my proxy.
I see. Yeah, I feel like the ENFP is a lot more common.
Yeah.
And also my experience with the ENFP is that it's kind of the personality that they give when they can't put you anywhere else.
It's quite common, you know.
Yeah, because it's like I know so many people that have very different personalities, by the way, that have been called ENFP. And so I feel like that is just the placeholder when there's no other category to put somebody in, is ENFP or INFP.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just a really well-adapted personality. I don't know. Because I think one of the qualities of an ENFP is adaptability. So perhaps...
Open-minded. Our sharing personality is open-minded.
Yeah. I think that N, that intuition, intuitive N in there probably.
I think so. So coincidentally, I met a lot of INFJ, which is very rare type.
Right.
They're very into like justice, fairness, also open-minded. But
they can be like INFJs. We can be open-minded, but it's a lot of us are not. A lot of INFJs have not gotten to that point because they tend to be very sensitive.
Yeah. They're kind of 1% of the population in statistics, but they were the most common type in my, how can I say, date list. Yeah. I met a lot of INFJ girls. Yeah. Like 6.
Yeah, there's
7.
probably a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a lot for you because there's like, a certain type that you're looking for.
Yeah. I didn't search about INFJ girls, but most of them were interested in me.
I see.
On Tinder.
Makes sense.
But
I don't remember the personality types that I dated. I have no idea.
Usually we ended up like breaking. It's not even breaking up because we didn't start relationship most of the time. So we usually didn't get along ultimately because of the F and T. I think I try to think too logically, but they just get very emotionally.
I see. And like easily frustrated.
And they're not that open-minded, in my opinion.
That's been my struggle, because like that's one of the reasons that I actually don't think in some ways that the INTJ or the INFJ makes sense. I'm getting confused. The INFJ completely makes sense for me because there are things in the personality that do. Like being very dedicated, very focused, diligence, those kinds of things. Sometimes being a little sensitive, which I need to be very aware of, right? So those things actually do really fit well for me. But my issue has been that there's like a whole page about like how INFJs have these really strict rules.
Yeah, and
this is how you do things.
Very fragile of criticism.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Which is very different from INTJ. We are like, if some people say to me like, "Oh, you're dumbass, you're fucking shit," and if
has somebody said that to you?
Maybe if that's true, I made a big mistake. I think, yes, I was a dumbass. I was fucking jackass. I need to correct my behavior or something. That's our behavior, but INFJ people like, "Oh, you insulted me."
Yeah.
It's their reaction.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think for the INFJ, it's a lot of these ideas that my behavior and how I view myself. So my behavior, my identity, and my morals are all really closely tied together. That's the INFJ. And when something kind of pokes at one, it pokes at all the other elements, right? So it's easy for this personality to be really, really sensitive and not respond well to criticism. And sometimes I do have an issue with this, but there is a key. We're going to say this probably in every video, right? Self-awareness, self-cognition, right?
Yeah.
So again, for me, the MBTI, whether it's talking about like stereotypes or how to use it in our daily lives, I think it's a good point of reference to spot weaknesses that we might not realize are there. Because I didn't realize that I was quite sensitive to criticism until, I don't know, a year ago. And I've been actively working on not being as sensitive, which is part of the reason that I don't actually feel like it's that accurate for me anymore.
I sometimes feel like she's angry because of criticism or correction.
Sometimes.
I sense it, so I try to not to poke it at the moment.
Smart.
Yeah.
I don't mean to, like, and I don't mean to be. And like the thought process that happens is like, there's something, I feel like it's a negative reflection of me, and then I have to remember that that's not what's going on. So there's a thinking cycle that's happening, right? And so it happens and it flares up, and he knows it, so he'll be like, all right, like, we're just gonna take a second. Right, and then we get back into it, and then I'll respond more positively. Yeah.
I know that she knows it, like she's angry by herself, so I don't poke her. But if she doesn't know about that, we can't get along.
Right.
With,
Just getting angry for no reason is useless.
That's a big difference.
It is, yeah. So I think self-cognition is really, really important because it helps with like every relationship that we have, you know, our relationship with ourselves and other people. And I do think a lot of that self-cognition and self-discipline is why my personality has shifted over time. Not that there's like a correct personality, just that things, when we finally figure out what our values are as a person, and then we direct ourselves toward those values, it's natural for our personality to change, right? So there's not one correct thing. It's like, what are we naturally prone to? What are we not? So what is more, how can I say, what can be influenced but from the outside? So even though I'm ENFP and INFJ, that NF is probably never going to change. That NF trait is just in there. It's really strong.
I really agree with that. I usually can't get along with people who got S and F.
I see. I have noticed more friction for me between, like it's not that we don't get along. It's more that it just feels kind of awkward. It feels like sandpaper when I'm talking to people with S traits in particular. T is fine, but I've noticed that if people are like ES or IS, that there's more friction in the conversation. There's just like somehow we're not exactly communicating. Well, they kind of misunderstand and I misunderstand.
So shall we talk about the MBTI type who we hate? We don't like.
I guess I can't think of any, but I'll try.
I think about ISTJ. ISTJ or.
Oh, that would be a really interesting person. Because they would be like disciplined, but also
a little bit close-minded.
I can't even think of what word
like
I'm using to describe.
Bureaucrats?
Yeah, super into rules.
Yeah.
Would they be like really into rules?
I really hate that type of personality, so we can't easily get along. Like ISTJ. But also, sadly, in statistics, we have so many ISTJs.
Interesting.
Following rules and introverted. And
that actually makes a lot of sense to me given the Korean culture.
Yeah.
Korean culture is very, very, very strict about everything. Appearance, social performance, the language that you use is very, very particular.
We have special one pathway of lifestyle. So in this age you have to do this, and this age you have to do this. Like if you're 20, you have to go to university, and if you're 21, you have to go to military.
35 is when you get married.
If you're a girl, and if you're 25, you have to get married, or you have to find your partner or something. It's very...
Just quick side note, that really sucks that people want girls to get married at like 25 or 26 but expect men to get married at 35 because guys die earlier, so you're asking her to marry somebody who's going to die earlier than her. That's really messed up. Just quick note.
But also, if you're very into, like, have higher ground of marriage market, getting married earlier age is very good option.
Yeah,
Just saying.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Because, you can save money and stuff together.
Yeah. I'm not judgmental.
Oh, same. I mean, people in America get married at a much younger age.
It's good if you're into marrying, getting married in younger age.
True. I don't know. ISTJ, I don't know if I've met, and I probably know some ISTJs, and I just don't know what their personality type is. I don't really have any one particular type of personality that I hate, but I will say that, like, seriousness is real. Like, when people are very serious, it's very difficult for me to find a point of reference to talk to them with. Because, like, when people come into a conversation and, like, they're just
mad,
like, not even mad, but just
so
serious. Like, it's really hard for them to joke.
Like Snape?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Snape was a good dude. He probably was an ISTJ.
I think so.
Honestly, probably he was. But, like, it's really hard for me to find a point of reference because, like, don't get me wrong, I love to read books. I'm a nerd, right? I know that I don't look like it, but I'm a nerd. I love reading and studying and researching. And I can talk about serious topics, but I want to have some note of comic relief or, like, fun. And it's really hard for me when I'm sitting across the table from somebody that's just like, yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like me.
God, you laugh. What the hell? You laugh at me all the time.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like that's really hard for me. I've noticed that, yeah, like I said, I have a lot more friction with S personalities. I tend to, but there's no personality I really hate. Because I think one of the qualities of an ENFP is being able to understand other people's thinking.
I think it's the reason that you basically like people. I mean,
like
more
80%.
Than
80%. Yeah. I think I 80% like people.
I can pick the people group that I hate because I basically hate people basic group. But you basically try to be nice to every group.
Right. Yeah, I just try to be nice to people.
I can pick another group. I don't like ESFP group. Like entertainer. ESFP.
Oh, ESFP.
Entertainer.
I have a friend who's an ESFP.
I don't know. But I don't like their features. Like very outgoing but not concentrating. And make just add every type of plans but don't execute and excuse a lot, like they late all time and don't even think about it, and they say sorry and it happened again. I really hate that situation.
Oh, I see. Interesting. I've never really thought about that, but I guess that's true.
Also, they are very popular because usually they have good appearance and or social skill, so usually people like them. But in my inner dialogue, I think that's not right because they don't deserve. Like they late all the time. They break all the rules and they ruin the efficiency of the society.
Oh, right.
I'm just being very judgmental. Yeah.
I see.
Sorry.
I mean, we literally have J in our descriptions because of judgmental. Yeah. But like,
I think it's a little bit being jealous of them.
Probably. I mean, and I have that problem too, where when I watch, people that are super duper popular, I get kind of frustrated. One, just for jealousy reasons, but beyond that, I think my issue is that I don't understand why they're exempt from the rules. Like I have noticed that I can think of an example, and like I don't need to say it, but it's like I can think of an example of a friend that I have that started so much crap between friends, like started arguments, was talking about people behind their backs, like was always late, borrowing money from people, never paying it back, all kinds of things, and like never ever paid the consequence for that. But the other people that they started drama with, they're the people who paid the price. And I don't understand when those personalities are not held accountable for their behavior.
That's what I told. Unfairness.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I don't hate that person, right? So I don't know. That's a hard question. There's no types that I hate. There are definitely types that I don't understand. Things that I have a difficult time accepting in other people are overly impulsive. Like I have impulse desires and choices sometimes,
you know it.
But I'm aware of it, right? And I try not to do really risky impulsive stuff just for preservation, right? For safety reasons. So impulsiveness is really hard for me. Selfishness is really hard for me. And dishonesty or fakeness. Like when people lie. Here's the thing that people out there watching, if there's an INTJ that's watching this, please know that ENFPs, we know when you lie. We know. That's one quality of an ENFP person. We grow up in houses where we have parents that are not outward with their expression.
A real sensing of feeling.
Yes. And so we know when people are lying. And I really hate it when I'm in a conversation with somebody and I can feel that they're forcing it. Because I'm like, what do you have to prove to me? I don't need any kind of... The ENFP is pretty open-minded. We don't care, right, what it is that you have to say. We can respond to anything. And so when we're in a conversation, or at least for me, and I can feel that other person's like, yeah, like the weather's great today. I'm like, do you have it makes me think that there's a problem. Because there's like this level of something's not right, something's not accurate. And so when an ENFP person senses this, when I feel this in a conversation, my thought process is, what did I do? Did they do something? What happened? Why is it awkward right now? Why are you forcing this conversation? So I will say fake personalities are really frustrating to me when people try to like force their personality. Yeah, and like inconsistency, that's a big one too. I'm gonna go and do this goal, and then they never do anything. That makes sense. That's really frustrating for me too.
In my opinion, like INFJ and INTJ have very strong persona because they have experienced that when they think when they say what they think, they have discriminated a lot. Because it's quite different from common people's mind. So we try to use persona. But if we can develop our social skill, we can detect that person is open-minded or not, so we can just act differently.
Right. Yeah, I think it comes into skill building. And honestly, I've never had an issue with an INTJ feeling fake. I've never had a conversation where I felt like you were forcing it.
Yeah, we try to act like honesty.
Yeah, I don't think it's really in the INTJ codex to like lie about stuff, right? But like there are some personalities that favor having a good social standing over being forthcoming and honest. They just want to save the social situation instead of like potentially causing friction. And I like, while ENFP, I understand that thought process because it's coming from, oh, I want to save my social structure, which by, proxy saves me. While I understand that, I personally don't put that in my hierarchy of needs. Because yes, I do want to have good social situations, but to me, the definition of a social situation is different. I think the definition of a good social situation is someone that I can trust to be honest and to keep secrets. Big hint, a big way to piss me off is to not keep things quietly to yourself when I trusted you to. Breaking the trust of an INFJ, you're really gonna just never, it
Yeah.
never comes back, right?
That's true.
So like,
That's really true.
I think that there's a lot of things, you know, that can be said on
I
that.
think that's the reason why I broke up with a lot of INFJ, because I didn't want to lie to them, but when I feel like, oh, they're too opinionated, I can like break their logic, but I didn't try because I know that I could win, but it doesn't make any efficiency.
Right.
So I just try to be nice, and I'm sure that they sensed it.
Sure. Yeah, probably they knew.
They sensed it. They sensed it. I'm just trying to be nice. So it felt awkward for them, I think.
Probably. Yeah. I think most people are actually pretty good at being able to tell when other people are being false, but that might be just me projecting. I don't know.
So
it's hard to say.
What we're talking about is mostly just about shortcoming of our personality. I think it's not about just MBTI.
Yeah.
But I think statistically, the type I hate has more features of this, in my experience.
I agree.
I'm just too judgmental, you know.
Yeah.
No offense.
Yeah, he is judgmental. I am too. I think that's why we have J in our name, is that we do have rules. Like and I think though that we are both aware that we have created those rules. Right? Like I make the rules that I make, you make the rules that you make, but we take our time to think about it. Right? So like we put a lot of consideration, I think, into what it is that we believe. And so it can be really difficult when people are impulsive and not very self-aware, and they're just like making a lot of like rash decisions, or like it's based purely on emotion instead of like any kind of self-cognition. That for us tends to be really difficult, and I've noticed for both of us that's where our judgment lies. Is when people are not self-cognitive, or they make really inefficient impulsive decisions. Those are the things that I think are the biggest friction points for us with other personalities. I definitely also have an efficiency quality about my personality. I don't like to waste time. I don't like it.
I think also personality type is infectious and affect each other. I think I got F and E a little bit from her, and she got T and J from me.
Yeah, that's true. Again, definitely complimenting. Because I've noticed that, you know, when I have my friends over, you're actually quite social and talk very openly with them.
My persona.
And when, I mean, like, again, it's not in your codex to lie, right? So
Codex.
you're like,
lie.
now initiating foreigner contact protocol. Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, but it's true. I think personalities influence each other. Yeah, for sure.
So no worry about your personality, like it's fixed. It can be changed. If you don't like, you can just train. I trained a lot of my bad spatial sense and emotional, like symbiosis. What can I say?
Like emotional intelligence.
Yep.
I think probably emotional.
I was very lacking of emotional intelligence, so I got in trouble a lot. But I trained myself a lot. It's very INTJ approach, but it worked.
Yeah, it's true. It worked for you, and like the things that were lacking for me, I've definitely put a lot of effort into. And I think like the biggest takeaway from this conversation, because probably people clicked on this video because they're like, oh, ENFP+INTJ. I think the biggest takeaway from this is that regardless of personality types, being aware of how the other person processes information and what their hierarchy of decision making is will help a lot with having good conversations, with having a successful relationship. Because I'm super not an INTJ in a lot of ways, but I have to think to myself how he's going to respond to something probably. And so I think about my approach before I have a conversation with him. Right? And I think he does the same thing for me. So being aware of how the other person thinks, what their values are, and what their response is likely to be, that's going to help save a lot of trouble in a relationship, regardless of personality types.
So for fun reason or for academic reason, studying MBTI will help you to find your right partner or right friend.
Or become best friends with yourself.
We don't have to believe it 100%, but we can use that statistics.
That's true.
So
Point of reference. That's all.
it was fun.
Yeah.
Right?
재밌네.
재밌다. Okay. So thanks for watching, guys. Yeah. Please like and subscribe down below. See you later.